Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, everybody. Welcome to the Wednesday after Ramadan. No, that's not the name of the show. The name of the show is the Shout Out Show with Preacher Moss. I'm your host, Preacher Moss. Hope that you're having an outstanding week. It is hump day. We hope whatever's going on, good, bad, in between, it's on the downside. You get yourself some rest and some relaxation, rejuvenate, if you will. And come on back and we'll be ready for you next week. Special shout outs. Give a shout out to Sister Satana, who is here in the building today. She is joining us. What that means is one of my favorite people is doing better, inshallah, feeling better. Satana, make sure you give that woman a hug and a big hug for me and tell her I'm doing all right. And I want to give a shout out to Mama Mary, who's been putting up with me for quite a bit of time. She's been toughing it out. And shout out to all of our doctors that keep her rolling strong. Shout out to all the elders. I want to shout out to all of the elders. So listen, we have, and I also want to make a note. Minister Akbar Muhammad's janazah is going to be held in Chicago at 2:00 this Friday. This Friday, I'm going to say it again. Minister Akbar Muhammad's janazah is going to be held in Chicago at Mosque Mariam, 2:00. So I would suggest if you're going to go, get there early for Juma because I know the lines are going to be around the corner. I just know. Inshallah, if you can't make it, there's going to be a live stream. You can go to the NOI website and get the information for live stream, okay? But a dedicated soldier, a good friend, mentor, all around, difference maker, and just an amazing human being. Also want to give a shout out to Sister Fitr Muhammad, who's on the mend. We hope that we're going to have some good news from her coming soon regarding her health. May Allah continue to increase her and give her shifa. And for anybody else out there with friends, relatives, parents, I wish shifa on all of you and hope everybody's doing well. Today's business, brothers and sisters, is this war. I call it war games. And the reason I call it war games is because this is not a situation scenario where there's a lot of authenticity. What I mean is everything has been acted out. One of the benefits of going to military school for 6 years is they always had us run simulations. And simulations are things where you become specified, you become especially good, skilled, skilled and grow your expertise on the idea of contingencies. Contingencies meaning that we are predicting or doing a thing. We have predictive behaviors, understanding, forecasting about what other people are going to do, how they're going to do it, why they're going to do it. Now, I can go into a really, really long, laborious explanation of what I'm talking about, but it's basically what's going on today. That the actions of the United States, that the actions of Israel, that the actions of Iran, the actions of Black Lives Matter going back to a couple years ago were all predicated upon the fact that people run simulations. And what happens when they run simulations is that the simulations try to choose every imaginable outcome and then come up with another outcome. It's reasonable to say that what you're seeing in the Gulf right now is a product of simulations. And it's even more heightened by, of course, AI. You just heard Satana was the AI company that refused to give the information to head scare poor Petey, puny Petey. I don't know. But one of the reasons they didn't give it to him because there was no safeguards. And when you give that kind of information to people with no guardrails, you don't know what the outcome is going to be. Now, I've been listening to some podcasts about Iran and what we got here and how we got here. And it's important for everybody to know that this thing with Iran is not new. This goes back to the 70s. I remember being in 7th grade doing a report. And we had to do this thing in social studies. We had to do a news broadcast. I remember talking about Ayatollah Khomeini. And this is in the 7th grade. And we were so pro-American back then, we didn't know. 7th grade, I didn't know that there were Muslims who, other than the black ones I saw, let's just be honest. I didn't know anything about Mecca, Medina, Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be. I didn't know any of that. In fact, I bought a bullseye, a big poster bullseye with a picture of Ayatollah Khomeini's face in the middle of it. That's how blind we were because we didn't know history. We didn't understand that the British had kicked out a democratic elected government, kicked them out, bought in their own puppet. That puppet been going. The puppet got kicked out of the United States. It goes on and on and on. So when I say the war games, it's almost capitulation games. When I say capitulation games, it means that at some point in time, people have accepted what that scenario is going to be, or they accepted what that scenario is going to be to a point. And that point is when I can change the dynamic or the narrative of what you're seeing. Behind me, case in point, war games. Earlier in the week, maybe yesterday, day before yesterday, you heard that the president was saying that they were going to implement a bit of a ceasefire, no bombing in Iran for 5 days. If you understand the game, say you understand the game. You say those things because why? The markets, the oil markets, they were going bananas. People are mad, they're upset, they're angry, they don't know how they got here. The way they got here, brothers and sisters, is the fact that we've been rolling these things over. And more we become dispossessed of power, right? That narrative of resistance is really born upon the memories of myself and younger folks of how we resisted. We don't talk about resistance in an educational way. So I keep saying the war games, you've seen them before. It's the revolt, and then it's the effort to put down the revolt. It's the clarity, and then it's the effort to cloud the clarity. It is the education, and then it's the effort to miseducate. These things are all viable when you're talking about freedom, liberty, faculty, equity, and I want to say, I don't want to say self-reliance, but I want to say personhood. And I want to explain this thing about personhood. Now, if you had told me that the U.S. would go to war against Iran, and let's be really, really clear. The U.S. technically has not declared war on Iran. Israel has not technically declared war on Iran. They bombed them. They've had aggression. But the technical thing, the war starts when you got boots on the ground, okay? The war literally starts when you got boots on the ground. Let me explain something to you about military intelligence. The thing about military intelligence is it's only as good as you get. Iran for years has been a black box, and a black box means that there's no information in, there's no information out. The idea that Iran has been able to make it this far is not surprising. Why? Every defense report going back to last year said that Iran did not have nuclear weapons, and it was a bad idea to go in. Listen to me. It was a bad idea to go in. A couple shows ago, I talked to everybody about the scenario of BRIC. Remember I told you BRIC? It was an alliance of nations who stipulated they didn't want to use the U.S. petrodollar anymore. They don't want to have to buy oil from the U.S., this petrodollar, because it gave the U.S. unfair advantage. What are the BRIC countries? Brazil, Russia, India, China, and a new BRIC country who had just signed on was Iran. So defense people tell you, yes, this is a bad idea to invade them. But business people, and this goes back to the wars in Central America, the Sandinistas and the Noriegas and all these folks. Bob Dole, Senator Bob Dole, rest in peace. He was largely responsible for. I'm gonna read and I'm gonna do my research. He was largely responsible for going into Central America. Why? Was it the wars? No, it was for Chiquita bananas. It was to dominate the banana market. So you guys going to preach, what is all tying in? Well, there are a lot of things that are going on in play, and people are not going to tell you. And I would encourage you, like I encourage myself, to start researching. The history always reveals the lie. The history always reveals the lie. Now, let me tell you about the bully. The bully is the scariest, most frantic, most misaligned, uh, most uninformed, and in the end, blind. A bully, to do what they do, flies blind. You can say, what about the aggression of Israel? They're flying blind. Once the veneer is peeled off and you realize that the bully, just like in the Wizard of Oz, once you pull that curtain, you realize it ain't no Oz. It's an old white man talking to the microphone. Dorothy. My point is the fact of the matter with information, and it'll come out more and more and more with information. You're going to be understanding that this war, one, was unneeded. It's a very unpopular war. Some of you are watching this broadcast. You didn't grow up. You didn't grow up when they had the Vietnam War. I grew up at the tail end of the Vietnam War. And as a child, I listened to people who had very disparaging things to say about Lyndon B. Johnson, about Richard Nixon, about being in a war that we had absolutely no business being in. Can I explain something to you? This may hurt a lot of people. The United States has never really won a foreign war. We haven't. This war is particularly troubling because A, it's not a war. B, it's aggression. C, and this is important when I talk about war games, seen this before, we have a way in, we don't have a way out. It was the same thing with Desert Storm in Iraq. We had a way in, we didn't have a way out. Iraq is worse for wear. And the only problem with Iraq was Iraq had a relationship with the United States. They had a relationship with the United States. And Iraq was going to invade Kuwait. They had permission from the United States. Kuwait gave them some money. The United States told Iraq, Saddam Hussein, you cannot invade. He invaded anyway. That's how you got the war. The thing about Iran is that there's no relationship. There's no way into, for lack of a better word, start talking about how we work it in. We don't even know. We don't even know. You know, there was deals on the table. There was a deal with Iran to deal with this nuclear issue. The deal was better than Obama got. And the person who stood there, who said Iran should not have a nuclear weapon, issued a fatwa. We killed him. They killed him. They assassinated him. So the person who was really, and he advocated against that, he was assassinated. And in place they have his son. What do you think the son is going to be thinking about doing any kind of business with the United States? Listen, we'll be back. Go ahead and start the show. I'm sorry, I'm running my mouth. This is Preacher Moss on the ShOUT Show. We'll be right back. Okay, it's time and we ain't going to be back. I guess we're still here.
I want to come to the halal comedy show. Why can't I come?
Muslim ban. Who's laughing now?
For decades, Muslim comedians have made people laugh, but we didn't own the stage, we didn't own the label, and we didn't control the economics. That changes today. We're launching Permissible Laughter Records, the first independent Muslim-owned comedy record label. Your support funds the release of the Confessions of a Muslim Comedian comedy album and launches the Joy is Still Allowed comedy tour. Joy is still allowed, but ownership is required. All right, we're back. And those are great ads, I might add. No, I'm just kidding. Yes, we are launching. We're doing a launch good campaign for Permissible After Records. As I said in the ad, we've been doing Muslim comedy for years. You know what, though? We don't own any of our comedy. We don't own our music. We don't own our comedy. We don't own our art. And you know what? If you're really going to put your flag, put your flag in the sand and stand on something, it's going to be stood on ownership. In the words of Elijah Muhammad, yes, you got to do for self. And do for self means that you own your narrative. You own your labor. So in that tradition, I'll be getting out information, but we're going to do this and make dua for it, people, because, we have to have some game changers that are out there. Let's get into our shout out section. We got Sister Ree. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sister Ree, how you doing? Good to see you. I think I'm having some turkey lasagna withdrawal, but I will have to talk to you about that. Peace and blessings to you and the family. Next up, my main man, my little brother. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My Ramadan partner who's made it through yet another year, brother. Eid Mubarak. I already said that, but Eid Mubarak. I'm saying it in public. Glad to see you, man. Peace and blessings to my nephews and my sister-in-law. Give them all salutes and hugs and tell Mama Maisie I say hello to. Next up, Bilal Salahuddin. What's going on, beloved? And the Queen, Sister Sonia, Dr. Salahuddin. Peace and blessings to you. Hey, listen, Eid Mubarak. I hope you had a good Eid. I hope you had a blessed Ramadan. Thank you so much for joining us in the city. We appreciate you. Next up, it's the boss. Sister Boss. Salam. She says salam's Mama Moss. With Sister Satana. That's not Satana. You need to just read that on your own. You need to give it to me. Just got me reading stuff, looking all corny. Okay. Next up, my main man, Fashid. Wa alaikum assalam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. A Canadian envoy to the show. We call him Mr. 6 o'clock, straight up, straight down. One of our day ones. What's going on, beloved? Good to see you. Hey, man, Canada's about peace. Can you talk to our president, man? We appreciate it. And next up, Brother from South Kakalaki. Wa alaikum assalam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Eid Mubarak to you, brother. Eid Mubarak to you. Also, Brother Altaf. If I didn't say that before, we appreciate you. And next up, I know who this is. Go and throw it on. Yes, it's Satana. Wa alaikum assalam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Yes, Anthropic. Thank you so much. So I was talking about Secretary of Foolishness. And Anthropic refused to give them information. So we're going to jump back in that. I think we got one or two people in Instagram land. Let me see here. Let me see. It's not working, Satana. I did something wrong. It is not working. So I thought we had some people. I guess we don't. It's like that sometimes, folks. So don't feel bad. I did lock it in. Satana, I did it right, but it's you haven't been in a couple times when I did it didn't happen. So we're gonna keep it moving. So let me backtrack. Let me backtrack a little bit because I think there's some things I want to make sure I don't miss when I talk about this. I gave everybody the concept of the bully. The bully is the most uninformed person, and the bully asks for the community to take on those characteristics. That if you know somehow you don't know enough, if you don't know, then you don't want to know anything. These are the tenements of American politics right now. The whole idea of woke, it's not about being woke, it's about being aware. It's about being conscious about the things that are going on around you. We've said this, and I've said it before, the demographic of what we call MAGA is historically one of the most disconnected, misinformed, antisocial, and it's largely men, young men, who have social skills. They're saying that these guys from 19 to 35, many of them never had one date with a woman. So, obviously, there's a lot of anger there. There's a lot of aggression there. But the fact of the matter is, we've created a space where people don't have to have accountability. This is dangerous. This is really dangerous because they create an environment where people don't have to have accountability. But the first thing they show you is people who do have accountability. people who do achieve things, people who do work hard. And they move all of those aspects out to say that it doesn't matter if they work hard, if they spent the money, saved the money, if they went hard to get an education. It doesn't matter. In this world, you're better than them. In this world, you're entitled. In this world, you don't need accountability and responsibility. You just need opportunity. So the bully in this case creates opportunities for these scenarios, but also designs opportunities. Let me talk to you about designing opportunities. There's such a thing as my cousin used to say, putting people in a trick bag. Now, if you never heard the idea of putting somebody in the trick bag, it is essentially what has happened to the United States. The United States is trapped into this war. There are levels to this war. At level 1, the United States didn't want to get in. It ignored its own intelligence. At level 2, you attack. But you attack in a way that is not what I would say auspicious of good military planning. You attack hoping that the people inside will rise up and do the rest of the work. Rise up and do the rest of the work. That's why, brothers and sisters, when there were protests in Iran, the U.S. all of a sudden found its chivalry bone, its ethics bone, and said, we're going to come to the rescue of these poor Iranians. We'll come to the rescue of these poor Iranians. They're being oppressed. It didn't come to the rescue of the Gazans. It didn't come to the rescue of the Sudanese. Didn't come to the rescue of those in the Congo. Hell, you ain't come to the rescue of people who you took their food stamps. You didn't come to the rescue of the people you cheated out of their jobs. So this whole thing obviously is misplaced. Seen this before? Two things I want to make sure I get out of the way. Two very, very important things. Iran is not Venezuela. Let me say it again. Iran is not Venezuela. Venezuela is a situation scenario. Even now, you're watching everything. You know what you don't hear? It's a mouse urinating on cotton. You don't hear nothing about Venezuela. You know why? Because nothing changed about Venezuela. He came and got the president, got his wife, took him, but you left the same government in place. And why is this important? Because all the business people that Trump went to, thinking he was going to use his order the deal to get them to invest billions and billions and billions of dollars into infrastructure to get that oil market up again, all of them turned them down. It had been a dead market for over 25 some years. They said they would go broke doing it. And then they turned their attention to Iran. Well, Iran was in a situation, like I said, they were part of BRIC, and there are other Muslim countries that are part of BRIC. They were newly bought everything. Turkey, I know Egypt was in, some of the UAE people in, but they're going after Iran. And they're going after Iran, and let me say this to Muslims. This is where it's disappointing. We're watching a Muslim country get attacked. We're not saying anything because this is a majority Shia country. This is a majority population Shia country. And the Sunnis are sitting back and being quiet. We're watching the onslaught. And here's the second thing I want to say. Iranians ain't no punks. Hey, Satana, it's like Eddie Murphy in Life. My man said, I want your cornbread. You can't have my cornbread. Iran said, you can't have my cornbread. What I'm saying is they are working on something that the United States does not understand. That you are compelling them to align their victory, to align their ferocity, to align their will to survive to their religion. They will fight you tooth and nail to their religion. I don't know if people really understand that. We're in the United States and we're kind of soft because nobody's attacking us. But I would say if somebody tried to, hurt our children, our wives, our parents, we would fight them to the end of our ability. It's the same thing here. And what we need to understand, even at this point, a modern war is not like World War I, World War II, World War III. The death count in Israel, the death count in Iran is like 1,500. Keep an eye on Lebanon because you now have certain people talking about they're going to occupy Lebanon. So you got to know the game, folks. When you're in a trick bag, now you're taking care of this, that, and that. We're getting ready to put boots on the ground, U.S. boots on the ground. Who started the war? Why are we not putting Israeli boots on the ground? Why? Satana, do you know why? I'm going to tell you why. They don't have a standing army. I know it sounds bad, but the big bad oppressor always attacks the people who can't defend themselves. You pull out a gun when they got a rock, right? You pull out a bomb when they got a knife. It's the same thing. Well, United States, we got some problems. Because here's the deal. We're over $12 billion in this war. $12 billion. $12 billion. People can't get insurance. People losing their jobs. People being deported. Cost of living. Gas is like $192 a gallon. And here we find ourselves fighting a war that has absolutely no benefit for the average American. So, where do we go from here? I'm going to tell you where we go from here for me. One, I'm going to be vocal. I'm going to be vocal. People say, well, at what cost? At the cost of pleasing my Lord, of course. I'm going to be vocal. Right is right and wrong is wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm going to tell you. But if somebody over here is wrong, I'm going to say it. It's not for us to bow to the bully, brothers and sisters. It's for us to confront the bully. See, you got to remember, there's a story that tells you what happens to the bully when the oppressor is focused. That you can defeat a bully with a rock when the oppressor has a sword. You ever hear that story? Satana, you ever hear that story? Little boy, slingshot, whoosh, bing, done. So look, I'll wrap here. But again, I want folks to really, really understand the significance of where we are. Our economy is at peril. Our way of life is at peril. We can't talk about the image of the United States outside of the United States because it's crushed. It's horrible. We need to stop lying to ourselves and coalesce around the fact that we know what right looks like. We've been raised to do the right thing. We've been raised to have ethics and morals. And you know what? I don't care what situation it is. I'm talking about in the 50s and the 60s and the 40s, we have black people that stood up for something. We need to stand up now. That civil rights thing, everybody wants a piece of it. You know what? You want a piece of it? Then you got to put your time in like everybody else did. My ancestors, my relatives, your relatives, ancestors going all the way back, we got to stand up because the moral core is based upon us, not our politicians. All right? So listen, think about what I said. Inshallah, I'll see you next week, and we'll talk a little bit more about Permissible After Records. San Antonio, tickets go on sale tonight. Tomorrow they're going midnight, I guess. But I'm looking forward to coming to San Antonio. God bless everybody. Have a wonderful day. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Take care.